history will be made in the Bellator cage. Win MVP. It's over! Michael Venom Page looks to move one step closer to a world title shot as he takes on the undefeated Ross Houston in the first ever major MMA event in the country of France. From the capital city of Paris, this is Bellator 248, live and free on CBS Sports Network. There is nothing better than being number one. For the first time in mixed martial arts history, a major organization will hold an event in the country of France. We are in Paris, and this is going to be an occasion that many will never forget. Our main event features the ultra-entertaining Michael Venom Page. His opponent, Scotland's Ross, the Hitman Houston, set to make his Bellator debut. Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Goldberg. I will tell you one thing. There were many organizations that tried for many years to do an event here in the country of France. And Scott Coker made the comment a couple of weeks ago that he is absolutely honored and humbled to be the one that was chosen. Bellator MMA and all of the authorities, all of the commissions here in this great country have worked diligently to make tonight happen. And you know what? It's finally here. And a man who can really put it into perspective is my partner, Big John McCarthy. John, this did take quite some time.
Quite some time, yes. You got to look, Mike, the sport of MMA, even though we look at it, we've been part of it for how many years you don't want to say because it says how old you are. But it's a relatively young sport, and there's been a lot of perceptions about it. We've had to beat those perceptions back, and finally, we have the opportunity to put to rest what the sport of MMA is all about. This is about competition. This is about sport. And the country of France is now embracing MMA just like they should.
And we get a Brit against a Scot in our main event of the evening. And when you talk about the Brit, Michael Venom Page, he is as entertaining, he is electrifying, he is an awesome fighter.
He is exactly what you say. He's electrifying because you never know what he's going to do. And that's what's the problem in fighting him. You cannot find anybody in any gym that can mimic what this man does. And you think you're ready for him. And you see all these fighters that say, I've got the answer. And they get inside the cage and all of a sudden they're freezing because they cannot figure out what he does. That's what makes him special.
And how about the Scot, unbeaten Ross Houston?
Ross Houston is an outstanding young fighter. He's 8-0 in his record. His last fight was a little bit weird. He was the champion at Cage Warriors. The fight actually got stopped based on blood because they were slipping around in the ring. This guy can fight, though. Technically, he's outstanding. He's got a good submission game, very, very crisp stand-up. He thinks he has the answer for Michael Venom Page.
We have the Eiffel Tower in the Bellator cage just a few clicks away, as it would be here in the country of France, and we are set to get things started. Still to come at 145, it's the Bellator debut of former Cage Warriors champion, Burnell. His opponent, 29-year-old Austrian, Darko, the face smasher Banovic. That fight is coming up next, right here on CBS Sports Network. Arc de Triomphe, the triumphal arch of the star, standing at the western end of the Champs-Élysées in beautiful Paris, France. As promised, we start in the featherweight division. Darko Banovic takes on the Dane, Mats Burnell, who is riding a 4-fight win streak.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the cage from Bosnia and Austria, Darko Banovic.
Big John, the face smasher. Darko Banovic moved to Vienna, Austria at age 2. He has finished 15 of his 17 professional wins.
He is the guy that he loves to be in the stand-up, but if he can take the fight to the ground and be in the top position, Mike, he is brutal. He has got a ton of TKO stoppages through ground and pound. He's big with elbows, which always worries the referee when they start hearing that bone-to-bone contact. It makes them say that's enough in the fight. He is an aggressive fighter, and it should be an exciting fight tonight.
No question about that, and he has the honor of being the first man to make the walk in this monumental moment for the sport of mixed martial arts, the first major event held in the country of France. Every fighter we talk to understands how special this set of fights truly are. The face smasher, Darko Banovic.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to the cage from Denmark, Mats Burnell.
From Husum, Denmark, the Dane, Mats Burnell. And John, you and I were talking prior to the show. This is a fighter you really like.
Oh, if you watch, Mats Burnell is what we look at as an exciting fighter because he's so good everywhere, Mike. His stand-up is outstanding. He's got a lot of movement. He keeps his head off the center line. And he gets to the ground. He is phenomenal in ground fighting situations. His submission game is outstanding. And he's a guy that has perfected what we call the Japanese necktie. If you're looking for one of those type of submissions, this is the guy that's going to pull it off.
He said, I was working on the Darce, then the Bravo, and then I saw the Japanese necktie. I was like, what is this? And now, as you said, partner, he has perfected it. The Dane, Mats Burnell. Our tail of the tape for this, our first fight from Paris, France on CBS Sports Network. 13 professional wins for the 26-year-old who is 2 inches taller than his opponent, who is 3 years older. This should be a great battle as we get things started at 145 with the introductions. Here's Craig Stevens.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen in attendance here at Cageside. Bonsoir, bonjour, mesdames et messieurs, et bienvenue à Paris. And a very warm welcome to our viewers joining us across the USA on CBS Sports Network and across the UK for the very first time on BBC iPlayer. As Bellator 248 comes to you live from the Accor Arena, Paris, France. This is history in the making, and Bellator MMA would like to thank the French Boxing Federation and French MMA Federation for the honor to be the first MMA event recognized in France. And thank you to the Minister of Sport, Roxana Maracinan, for fighting to make the sport legal in France. This is our opening contest. This is 3 5-minute rounds in the featherweight division. Time to meet the fighters. In the blue corner, standing 5'6" and weighing in at 145 pounds. His professional record, 17 wins, 7 defeats, 15 big wins inside the distance. He was born in Sarajevo, Bosnia. Fights out of Vienna, Austria. The Austrian national champion, Darko, the face smasher, Banovic. And across the cage in the red corner, standing 5'8" and weighing in at 145.6 pounds. His professional record, 13 wins, only 3 defeats, 8 wins inside the distance. The former featherweight champion of the world from Husum, Denmark, Mads Burnell. And in charge of the action, a referee, is Mr. Todd Anderson.
Todd Anderson, our referee, for the very first fight, a major event from the Accor Arena in Paris, France.
Ready? Ready?
Hey, here we go. Mads Burnell in the red gloves, Darko Banovic in the blue gloves. Both men working from the orthodox stance.
Both guys coming out trying to take the center of the cage right now, well within each other's range. Beautiful left hook by Mads Burnell. That's a surprising move to me, Mike. I did not think that I would be seeing Banovic trying to take Mads Burnell down. We're talking about a guy on the ground that is dangerous and in most positions. You got to be careful with him.
John, when you and I talked about the face smasher, Darko Banovic, you said he likes to strike at boxing range. We'll get back to that when we're not having these guys battle on the canvas.
That was the nicest takedown I've ever seen. Picked him up and then just laid him down there. But this is where Mads Burnell he excels, and he's so good at coming up with different positions where all of a sudden he's hitting that darce or that Japanese necktie that he's so good with.
Looking to loosen him up with some heavy elbows. Side control early for the Dane, Mads Burnell.
And you can see that Mads Burnell, he's isolating that arm, keeping. But Banovic is having a hard time right now. He wants to get that far side underhook so he can start to get out of the position. You see Mads Burnell not allowing that to happen.
Last 2 submission wins by Japanese necktie. 4 in the career of Mads Burnell.
Well, now he's going towards a north-south choke. Just decided, nope, not going to go with it.
Having his way early, partner.
Yeah, this is exactly what he does in his fights. He now is so good at controlling where the fight is going to be. And when you're the guy dictating the pace and the place of the fight, usually that means you're doing well.
I mean, he moved in to Banovic's guard and then moved right in to the half guard and then side control. He's just doing whatever he wants in top position, at least so far, John.
Yeah, good move by Banovic to get himself back to a full guard. We'll see if he can do something in getting himself back to his feet. In this position, he's at a disadvantage against Mads Burnell, and you see him just pass the guard so easily.
When we talked to Burnell earlier in the week, we asked him about Martin the Hitman Kampmann, who was the first star from Denmark in the sport of MMA. Burnell says, I'm carrying the torch right now,
well,
but he's still the best.
He's got hooks inside right now, landing big shots to the sides of Darko's head. Darko's got to figure out, I got to start to move, cannot get his hips taken out from him, which is what's happening. You see his leg up in the air. That means he's dead in the water. There's nowhere for him to go.
He's in trouble.
He's trying to move. He's burning a lot of energy, but he's just taking shots, and they're not going to let this stay.
It's all over. of France hosted the Olympic Games in 1900, 1924, and the Accor Arena will be a venue for the 2024 Summer Olympic Games. As we welcome you back here on CBS Sports Network, our first fight ends in round number 1. And to make it official, here's Greg Stevens.
Inside the Bellator cage, referee Todd Anderson calls a halt to the action. 3 minutes, 13 seconds of round number 1. The winner by TKO, unanswered strikes from Husum, Denmark, Mads Burnell.
14th career win, first by TKO for Mads Burnell. He will visit with Derek Davies.
Burnell, many congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be the first ever winner in a fight in a major promotion, Bellator MMA in France?
Actually, I haven't thought about it before you said it, and it's pretty sick, I gotta admit.
Talk us through the fight. You utterly dominated him.
Yeah, I actually wanted to box, and then he shot in on me, and I felt like it could be an easier way out, so I just hit a combo and shot for the takedown, and it was there. And I actually been working a lot of ground and pound during this coronavirus pandemic. So I was like, let me try it out. If the sub is there, it's there. If not, just keep on punching.
Well, it was your Bellator debut. We know that you're a great star from Denmark. Are you headed towards a title shot already?
I take one fight at a time. I go in and I perform. And if I do that, it's logic where I'm gonna end up.
Cool, congratulations, Mads Burnell.
I love that. He said, yeah, I didn't think of it until you mentioned it, but being the first ever winner is pretty sick. It is indeed a special occasion for Mads Burnell. The Bellator cage is coming home for 2 massive title fights, live and free, coast to coast on CBS Sports Network. Don't miss the real battle Thursday, October 15th, as Chris Cyborg defends her Bellator gold for the first time when she looks to counter the attack of Arlene Angerfist Blenko. That's this Thursday, 10 in the East, 7 in the West. Then 2 weeks later, October 29th, Douglas Lima looks to add the middleweight belt to his mantle when he goes toe-to-toe with the 5-time world champion, the former Bellator 185-pound king, Gegard Mousasi. It's right here live on CBS Sports Network, and once again, it comes your way 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. Later in our main event of the evening, a man who has sparred on frequent occasion with Mousasi, the always venomous MVP, Michael Page, will look to stop another opponent in sensational fashion. That combatant is former Cage Warriors champion, unbeaten Ross Houston, who says, I'm going to out-counter the counter fighter. Catch him and conquer. Back in January, the Accor Arena hosted an NBA regular season game between the Milwaukee Bucks and Charlotte Hornets, represented by France's own Nicolas Batum. What a night that was. Arriving earlier, Michael Venom Page, who is tied for the top spot with welterweight champion Douglas Lima and Patricky Pitbull with 9 knockouts inside the Bellator cage. Will he get number 10 later in our main event? Will he get it against 8-0 Ross Houston, who told us earlier this week that the opportunity to fight MVP for the Bellator organization means everything to him right now. He said it's even a bit surreal, but he's set to seize this life-changing opportunity. That is our main event later right here on CBS Sports Network. But up next, a contracted fight at 160 pounds, Ryan Scope and Alan Omer, Big John.
Man, this is a fight right here, Mike. I cannot wait for this. Ryan Scope is so good. He came into Bellator, had a big fight against Patricky Pitbull, and fight a lot of people thought he won. He lost it on a split decision, but in fighting Alan Omer is good everywhere. This is a guy who's been in the game for a while. He has got 20 of his 23 wins have come by KO or submission. So you know, take a look at these numbers right here. 8 wins by KO and submission by Ryan Scope with an 80% finish rate. That's great. But 20 wins by KO or submission with an 87% finish rate by Alan Omer. Take a look at Ryan Scope here. This was against Patricky Pitbull, who we have seen so many times, and we know what kind of fighter he is. And in the third round, you see he's having some problems. Ryan Scope gets his back and finishes the fight from that position. This is Ryan Scope against Peter Quilley. He was doing so well. Peter Quilley had a good first round, and then Ryan Scope hurts him, goes after him. You can see all of this work. Peter Quilley surviving these situations, but Ryan Scope in this, take a look at all this damage. He got himself tired, and in the end, he learned a big lesson that you cannot just go after someone with everything. You got to be smart.
Alan Omer is creative, dynamic, flexible, relentless, and a bona fide finisher. Ryan Scope is laser focused, set to showcase the skill set that he utilized to earn the BAMA Lightweight World Championship. He wants his arm to be raised inside the Bellator cage. Representing his home country of Kurdistan, Alan Omer, as John said, is a bona fide finisher. His last 2 finishes in the very first round. Nearly 10 million entered the Louvre in 2019, making it the most visited art museum in the world. That calendar year, the Eiffel Tower, constructed for the Paris Universal Exposition of 1889. Set for Sunderland, England's Ryan Scope. He is set to face Alan Omer, who will battle for the 29th time in his professional career.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the cage first from Kurdistan and Germany, Alan Omer.
A brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, riding a 5-fight win streak. He has finished 4 wins, his last 4 wins, 2 by knockout, 2 by submission, and overall, partner, you already said, he finished most of his fights, 20 of 23 overall.
He had 14 of those in the first round, Mike. Alan Omer is a very good striker. He's got heavy hands, he's got power. You can see it when he hits people. All of a sudden, they're moving back and going, oh my God, what was that? But now he's got very good defensive wrestling, and his submission game has come to fruition. He is good on the ground. He's getting submissions, and the one thing when you're watching him, he's a guy that likes to pressure in the fight. He brings a lot of high energy, high output, and sometimes that's very difficult to deal with.
He said, as soon as the bell rings, I'm going to take the center of the cage, and I'm not planning on allowing Ryan Scope to get anything started. Alan Omer.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, from England, here comes Ryan Scope.
Big John just broke down the highlights of Ryan Scope's 2 fights inside the Bellator cage. His debut was in his hometown. It was the main event. It was a split decision against Patricky Pitbull. His last fight, he said, I just had bad preparation. Things just were not right. You asked him earlier this week, John, are you prepared this time? And he said, absolutely 1,000% yes.
Well, he says, look, I came into Bellator, I was last minute in that first fight, and look at what I could do. I have been a champion. I know how to be a champion. I'm gonna be a champion here in Bellator, and I'm gonna prove that in this fight tonight because I know how good Alan Omer is, and I'm gonna show you exactly how great I am.
He said, I'm technically better for this fight. My mind is right. I put in the work. And we are back in 60 seconds. Ryan Scope, Alan Omer, coming up next. This fight contracted at 160 pounds. Our tail of the tape for our second matchup here live on CBS Sports Network. Omer with a definitive experience advantage. Those 23 professional wins. He is 4 years the elder of his opponent, Ryan Scope, who have a slight reach advantage. Once again, let's get it over to Craig Stevens.
Well, welcome back to the action here at the Accor Arena in Paris, France. Live across the USA on CBS Sports Network and in the UK on BBC iPlayer. This is 3 5-minute rounds contracted at 160 pounds. Introducing first in the blue corner, standing 5'10" and weighing in at 159 pounds even. His professional record, 23 wins, only 5 defeats, 20 big wins inside the distance. Former BAMA champion with a proud family heritage, Erbil Kurdistan. Fighting out of Stuttgart, Germany, Alan, Mr. Erbil Omer. And across the Bellator cage in the red corner, also standing 5'10" and weighing in 160.8 pounds. His professional record, 10 wins, only 3 defeats, 8 wins inside the distance. He too a former BAMA champion from Sunderland, England, Ryan Scope. Referee, once again, Mr. Todd Anderson.
Todd Anderson, the pride of St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, our referee for our second matchup.
Ready? Ready? Hey!
And we are underway. Ryan Scope in the red gloves. He said he's going to pressure early. Southpaw stands for Alan Omer. He said, I stand up and knock people out.
Well, he's landed a couple of really sharp shots already. You can see that they're both battling for that pressure position. Both want to come forward. Right now, it's Omer's the one that is showing that that's what I'm going to do.
Both switching stance frequently here in the first 30 seconds of the fight.
Good head positioning, pushing him up against the cage. You saw Omer using his head as that third arm to try to keep Scope where he's at.
Omer was the inaugural BAMA featherweight champion. Former BAMA lightweight champion in the red gloves, Ryan Scope, out of the UK.
Like what I saw out of Scope when he exited off of that elbow. But you can see he's already been marked up on the right side of his face. There's already a little bit of a marking or a cut on Scope.
Nicely done.
Beautiful right hand by Omer.
He just changed levels just slightly, John, and came over the top.
Yeah, he's very good with his stand-up game. Brings his hands in different positions and normally takes his head off that center line. So when he comes in, you think you've got that range and you know where you're going to go, and his head's just a little bit off and it slips by.
Nicely done. Great work in the clinch.
He is doing big work with that right hand, Mike. That right hand is finding a mark.
Oh,
he's in trouble.
Body shot.
He's in deep trouble here, Mike. It's going to be the end, and he doesn't move. Oh, nice.
And
right back to the body.
And it is all over. Alan Omer with another finish. His 15th first-round finish.
I told you that Omer is now in that zone, man. He has got it going on. He understands exactly what he needs to do in a fight. And both in the stand-up and then when he gets to the ground, he is a completely different fighter. He's able to control the fight. He's able to do big damage just like he just did. Watch these shots, Mike. The right hand does huge damage right there. Take a look at that right hand when it lands. He brings it up. Knee to the body was beautiful. Absolutely right to the middle of the solar plexus, and when you can't breathe, you can't fight, and then goes back with the knee to the ribs. That is a smart fighter showing fight IQ. I hurt you in the body. Let me give you something else to think about to the body here. Nice knee, back to the punches to the head. Referee has no choice but to end that fight.
Make it a 6-fight win streak, and now 5 straight finishes. Mr. Herbal, victorious in his 29th professional fight. That body shot shut down the body of Ryan Scope. To make it official, here's Craig Steven.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the action stops inside the Bellator cage at 1 minute and 46 seconds of round number 1. Referee Todd Anderson stops the contest. The winner by TKO unanswered strikes, Mr. Erbil Alan Omer.
Big John, you said that Omar has that Carlos Condit natural-born killer instinct. We saw it, and now he will visit with Gareth Davies.
Too much distance.
Too much distance. Alan Omer, many congratulations. What a performance. It must feel fantastic.
Thank you very much. It was awesome. It is awesome here to be in Paris, in a historic event in Paris. Thank you, everyone, to be here. Thank you very much. Viva la France!
Tell us about the flags you're carrying. Tell us about the flags you're carrying.
Yeah, this is the Kurdistan flag. I'm Kurdish. I'm from Kurdistan. I'm proud of it. I was born there. And of course, I also represent Germany. I lived my whole life there. I have everything in Germany. I love both countries, and I represent both.
It was good. We know he's a relentless fighter. He's very aggressive. You dealt with him very well tonight.
Yeah, I know. I studied him very good. I knew exactly what to do. We trained, and I just went inside, took the inside of the octagon, controlled it, and then let it go. Easy.
Cage control. You're a formidable lightweight fighter. Where are you headed in this division in Bellator? You're on a 6-fight winning streak now.
Look, I came here to Bellator to go for a title run. I'm not just here to fight a couple of fights. I go for the title run, and whoever the champion is, I'm gonna fight him. I go to the champion, and like I know now, it's Pitbull, right?
It is.
First of all, I take his brother, and then him. I don't mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Omer, many congratulations.
Thank you.
This is a man who grew up around war. He has seen it all, and he's very proud of his heritage. You are watching Bellator MMA, live right here on CBS Sports Network. From Paris, France continues right after this on the Bellator YouTube channel, all counting down to our second main card at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific, when Paris, France's own MMA veteran, Czech Congo will make a historical walk to the cage as Bellator culminates France's first major MMA event. And for more on Congo's journey, here is Garrett.
Thanks, Goldie. Well, I cannot stress it enough that this is a seminal moment in the history of our brutal but beautiful sport. All week, we have had our eyes on Czech Congo. This is a heavyweight everybody loves. He takes off his glasses, he talks so softly, but then he gets into the action. 19 years he's fought in 7 countries on 3 continents until tonight when he gets to fight Timothy Johnson. Here he is fighting him the first time. You do not want to get in that position with Czech Congo. Brutal strikes. He will throw his kicks tonight as well. But the thing is about the opponent he faces tonight, even though Czech has been cool, calm and calculated all week, is that the pressure is on him. He's carrying this event, even though there's 6 Frenchmen and 1 French woman on this card. Timothy Johnson is a dangerous revenge opponent. He has been on a tear in his last 2 fights. His hands have been good. Tyrell Fortune there, you saw him knocking out. He didn't allow Fortune to get into the fight. He bullied him. And just in August, he beat up Matt Mitrione, one of the leading heavyweights in the world over the last 5 years. Johnson's a quietly spoken man, but he's come here to do the business. Can Czech Congo tonight carry through what he said he's going to do, not be emotional, and take it in the octagon, in the ring, in the cage, and be a firecracker? It's going to be special.
Speaking of France's own, born and raised in Paris, Emmanuel Dawa is a slick striker who is mentored by the snake, Cyril Diabati. Tonight he fights at home, promises not to disappoint against the future, who has become the present, the Swede, Oliver Enkamp. That fight right here from Paris on CBS Sports Network. Oh, it is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And of course, the red clay of Roland Garros, part of the Grand Slam of tennis. Paris, France, for the first time, hosting the sport of mixed martial arts. And so far, 2 great finishes. Next up, our co-main event of the evening. Oliver Enkamp, the Swede, taking on the witch doctor out of Paris, Emmanuel Dawa.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, coming to the cage from France, Emmanuel Dawa!
Lele, his nickname comes from the neighborhood that he grew up in. When he was younger, it was given to him by the district's grown-ups. His fight nickname, as I mentioned, the Witch Doctor, given to him by the head coach, the Snake, Cyril Diabati. 19 career wins, 81-inch reach, trained with Dan Henderson. So we know that Dawa is mentored by one of the best.
Absolutely. Just for a moment, you gotta love just the attitude you're watching Emmanuel Dawa walk down this ramp, having fun, enjoying the moment. Think about it, Mike, being the very first Frenchman fighting in front of your fans, yours in your city, all this stuff. Finally, he gets to do that. It's got to be a special moment for him. But this guy is outstanding. He's got really good kicks, very athletic. I'm sure he learned the kicks from Cyril, but his ground game is where, when he's on the ground and you see him in the top position, he doesn't usually go for submissions. He likes to pound you, and he's got a very heavy ground to pound.
He said on fighting in Bellator, it means I was right. I was right to think I'm good. I am. I had some issues in my life, but fighting in Bellator today means a lot to me. I'm proud of it, period. And it's in France. It is extraordinary. Nine career wins, 7 finishes, 6 by knockout. 5 opponents have been stopped in the first 5 minutes. The Snake has deemed him the Witch Doctor. Paris, France's own Emmanuel Dawa. What a moment.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to the cage from Sweden, Oliver Enkamp.
Well, with 9 professional wins, partner, I would say the future is now the present for Oliver Enkamp, the black belt in karate, basically raised in a dojo. Both of his parents are black belts. His whole family just kind of hung out in this dojo, and he is a true martial artist. It even walks into one of the great martial arts songs of all time.
He does. His whole family are martial artists. He's grown up in this atmosphere. And he started his career 7 years ago. He was a very young man. He has matured, and his fighting acumen, the way that he goes about just being relaxed in the cage, and the techniques that this guy brings out. He is creative, dynamic. He's got that karate background that came from his family. So it's an unorthodox style, Mike. When you're talking about a guy that's fun to watch and is continuing to improve in the sport of MMA, you're looking at the future right there.
It feels like he's the best around. That's what's going to keep him down. Oliver Enkamp and Emmanuel Dawa. We are back in 60 seconds. This is Bellator MMA, live from Paris on CBS Sports Network. Oliver Enkamp has been traveling a lot during this decade-plus long MMA journey. Today, he touches new ground against Paris' own. Our tail of the tape, both men. With 9 professional victories, other than the age, Big John, I would say that everything else is virtually identical. Enkamp and Dawa. And with the official introductions, once again, Craig Stevens.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the action inside the Bellator cage, live from Paris, France, and across the USA on CBS Sports Network, in the UK on BBC iPlayer. This is Bellator 248, and this is the co-main event. 3 5-minute rounds in the welterweight division. Introducing in the blue corner, standing 6'1" and weighing in at 170 pounds. His professional record, 9 wins, only 3 defeats, with 7 wins inside the distance. The former Belgian and French national champion, fighting out of Paris, France. He is the witch doctor, Emmanuel Papulele. And across the Bellator cage in the red corner, standing 6 foot tall, weighing in at 168.4 pounds. His professional record, 9 wins, only 2 defeats, 7 wins inside the distance. Fighting out of Stockholm, Sweden, Oliver, the future Enkamp. And a referee for this one, Mr. Dan Mergliotta.
Dan Mergliotta, our referee, our co-main event of the evening. Mike Goldberg, Big John McCarthy. Our fights from Paris, France. MMA history being made. And what a special fight for Emmanuel Dawa. Here we go. Red gloves for Enkamp, blue gloves for Paris, France's own Emmanuel Dawa. Oliver Enkamp said on his opponent, he's kind of a wild card. He seems to be all over the place, throwing kicks and every kind of thing from everywhere, which means you got to be very careful, John.
Well, Enkamp just landed a big kick right there. And obviously, in looking at Oliver Enkamp, Dawa saw something, because normally he is an orthodox stance fighter, and he came out in southpaw. So he's looking at something, but nice takedown. He's got the fight on the ground. Normally in these positions, you're going to see Dawa really opening up with big shots.
Heavy ground and pound.
He has heavy ground and pound. Sometimes he'll get a little wild, so he's got to be careful with that. Right now, he's dry, and so if he extends that arm in a certain way, Oliver Enkamp is good enough with his submission game. He can catch him, so he needs to be careful.
5 wins by submission for Oliver Enkamp.
Dawa going after that guillotine choke. He doesn't have it on the right side, though. That is not going to work for him right now the way he has it. Enkamp is safe. His head might be caught in there, but he's safe.
So now Enkamp in top position. Dawa, born and raised in France. His parents are from Central America.
Nice job by Oliver Enkamp. Takes it, brings his leg over the arm, traps it, punches heavy with the right hand. Nice knee inside. Way to just let the fight flow. Don't try to stop everything. That's the kind of takedown we're looking for, Mike.
That wasn't like the nice one we saw earlier, John.
That was beautiful. Nice job by Oliver Enkamp. Picks him up and slams him down on that surface. No matter what, it hurts. It sometimes takes the air out of you. It's like getting hit with a big shot.
He said, I believe martial arts creates better human beings, and therefore I try to spread these traditional values through my fighting. It really is a very personal journey in the sport of mixed martial arts for Oliver Enkamp.
Enkamp in the half guard, but you can see he's taking grapevine that left leg, bringing heavy pressure down hip to hip, just trying to use ground and pound to slow Dawa down. He knows Dawa's a very explosive athlete, super strong. That was a big elbow.
2-0 inside the Bellator cage. Enkamp with 2 finishes, both in the first round. This is the first time Emmanuel Dawa has fought in the Bellator cage.
Well, early in his career, Oliver Enkamp was that guy, being a young, super energetic fighter. He wanted to be entertaining, and he wanted to do these crazy dynamic things. Sometimes it got him into trouble. Now he's fighting as an intelligent fighter. He's got so much skill, so much technique. Now when you're fighting smart, you become very dangerous.
Definitely utilizing some powerful ground and pound here in round 1. Mixing things up nicely.
Some big shots, some elbows. This is just, all of this tends to just put a lot of dents in the gas tank. Makes it to where you just get tired. Beautiful transition right into mount, Mike.
You see the full, well-rounded MMA game of Oliver Enkamp on display here in the first 4 minutes of this fight. Heavy elbows.
Big elbows right there. Dawa getting up. Enkamp now in a position. Looking, he can switch to a Darce. He can go to a Japanese necktie right here. He's got the leg. He's going Japanese necktie.
It is all over. Oliver Enkamp, another first-round finish inside the Bellator cage. And most populous city of France with an estimated 2.1 million residents. Beautiful Paris, but the spoiler is from Stockholm, Sweden. Oliver Enkamp to make this one official. Once again, we get it over to Craig Stevens.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official time inside the Bellator cage is 4 minutes and 10 seconds of round number 1. Referee Dan Mergliotta calls a halt to the contest due to tap out. The winner by submission, Darce Choke from Stockholm, Sweden, Oliver, the Future, Enkamp.
Go ahead, John. You like the Japanese? It's the Japanese necktie.
Unfortunately, someone there doesn't understand the difference between a Darce choke and a Japanese necktie.
All right, Gareth will visit with our winner.
Well, I'm here with Oliver Enkamp. Let's have a round of applause for Emmanuel the Witch Doctor Dawa as he leaves the cage tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Oliver, your 10th professional victory in the cage. How does it feel?
Feels great, man. 3 in a row now in Bellator, first round finishes. I couldn't have had a better fight, to be honest.
We enjoyed your dance afterwards as well on the canvas. What do you want next? What are you looking for? Are you heading towards, everyone wants Pitbull. Are you heading towards Pitbull as well? Sorry, not Pitbull, towards the champion Douglas Lima.
Oh, right. I don't really follow the division that much. To me, fighting in martial arts is a very personal journey. It's about my own development and seeing an improvement from fight to fight. So I don't really look at this as competition, more like an art form or entertainment for the audience. So really, I'd like to fight whoever the fans want to see. For me, I'm gonna still keep my focus on my own training and just getting better and better.
And just talk us through that finish. It was fascinating on the ground there.
Yeah, well, that's one of my go-to submissions. I think it's referred to as a Japanese necktie. So it's almost like a Darce choke, like the commentator said, but a little bit different in the grip. I usually use it from this position, so I'm glad it worked in the fight too, because I've only done it in practice so far.
Many congratulations, Oliver Enkamp, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
It indeed is the Japanese necktie, and another victory. The future, as I mentioned, is the present. Oliver Enkamp, 3-0 on this personal journey as a Bellator mixed martial artist. Our doubleheader continues right after this on the Bellator YouTube channel and culminates with our main card at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, when Paris's own Czech Congo will make the most memorable walk of his MMA career as the headliner for this first major MMA event ever held in his home country. He will have a rematch against Tim Johnson, who he defeated in Tim Johnson's Bellator debut. And once again, for more on that second main event later, we get it back to Gareth.
Well, it's a massive night here for Czech Congo, who faces Timothy Johnson for the second time. But there are all kinds of different pressures on him this time. He's fighting at home in front of this French audience. There's great expectation on Czech Congo. He has been around the world like a gladiator for the last 20 years. 43 fights he's had, and he finally gets to face an opponent on the soil that he was born in. He looks in fantastic shape. He always does. 6'5", 250 pounds of chiseled man. But so too, Timothy Johnson wasn't in such great shape when he faced him the last time 2 years ago. But Johnson's on a tear as well, of course. Wins over Tyrell Fortune and Matt Mitrione just 2 months ago. This is going to be a terrific fight. We cannot wait for this. But of course, coming up next, the big fight that everyone in the UK is waiting for. Michael Venom Page, this explosive, beautiful knockout artist who seeks to open the door and knock out anyone he faces. Ross Houston, the former Cage Warriors champion, making his debut in Bellator. Look at these two. They are two cool dudes. What a face-off it was yesterday. They walked outside after that, shook hands, had a little laugh together. We are in for something special tonight, and don't sleep on an upset here. This could be one of the big nights for British MMA.
That is our main event in a moment right here on CBS Sports Network. For Ross Houston, 5 years ago, he was working south of Paris. He was working hard, manual labor every single day. He has that Matt Hughes manual labor farm strength. He talked about it earlier this week. Tonight, it is his labor of love. Mixed martial arts and an appearance in our main event of the evening for Scotland's Hitman, who comes from a long line of boxers. His father competed at a very high amateur level. His grandfather ran the local boxing club. So firing fists is quite simply part of the Houston family history. We knew Michael Venom Page was something special when he knocked out Ryan Sanders in just 10 seconds in his Bellator debut. He now owns 13 Bellator victories and is confident that he will make it 14 right here, right now on CBS Sports Network.
Ready for our main event. Have you enjoyed the show so far? Have you enjoyed it more than that? Merci. So this is the first of our big contests. We have another one much later on when Czech Congo comes to the ring. But this is Ross Houston and Michael Venom Page coming to you very soon. Hopefully you are in very good voice as I say the officials are ready, the fighters are ready. Are you ready for the main event? Merci beaucoup. Enjoy the show.
Fresh off its European tour, oh my God! Bellator MMA returns to the Mohegan Sun Arena, where the featherweight belt is on the line, as world champion Chris Cyborg makes her first title defense against the Aussie, Arlene Angerfist Blenko. Don't miss Bellator 249, live and free, Thursday, October 15th on CBS Sports Network at 10 p.m. Eastern. And we finish the month with a dream matchup between two of the best in the world. It's current welterweight champion Douglas Lima stepping up to 185 to battle five-time world champ Gegard Mousasi for the vacant middleweight world title. Check out Bellator 250 live on CBS Sports Network Thursday, October 29th at 10 p.m. Eastern. For more information, visit Bellator.com. So October 15th, it is Chris Cyborg looking to defend her Bellator title for the first time against the Aussie, Arlene Blenkow. Then, on October 29th, Douglas Lima looks to become Bellator's third double champion when he moves to 185 to take on the former Bellator middleweight champion, the legend, Gegard Mousasi. Set now for our main event of the evening. Two very dynamic strikers, Michael Venom Page, Ross Houston. But this just in, if the right hand of Ross delivers, Houston, we have a problem.
That would be a problem possibly for Michael Venom Page, but it's getting that right hand to touch Michael Venom Page that everyone who has faced him except for Douglas Lima has had a problem with. So that is exactly what Ross Houston wants to do. He wants to land that big, powerful right hand that he possesses, put it cleanly onto Michael Venom Page's chin, and he will have problems.
You know, they talk about guys that, you know, are known as Mike or Shaq. When you're known by one name or one set of initials, you're pretty darn good. And so everybody knows Michael Page as MVP, and there's a reason why.
There's absolutely a reason why. This guy is special, Mike. There's those guys that you know exactly what they're going to do. Can't stop it. You don't know how to stop it. They just are able to do these things that nobody else can carry out. Michael Venom Page is that fighter. He is dynamic in the stand-up. He is so unique and can hit you from a variety of angles where you don't see what's coming, and it's always the shot that you don't see that puts you away.
The Scot set to battle the Brit. It is MVP Michael Venom Page and Ross Houston. Our main event from here in Paris, France on CBS Sports Network is coming up next.
It's been the MVP show since he came to Bellator.
Like a brutal dance routine.
He is honored to be fighting MVP.
Ladies and gentlemen, making his walk to the Bellator cage from the Highlands of Scotland, Mesdames et Messieurs, de Goss, Ross, the Hitman Houston.
The opportunity to fight MVP for Bellator means everything to me right now. I've always been looking for bigger and better challenges. People need to remember that I made this fight happen because I called him out. It's me that wants this fight because I know that I can beat this guy. The words of Ross Houston, the former Cage Warriors welterweight champion. Set to perform for the first time in the Bellator cage. John, his keys to victory.
For Ross Houston, you must back Michael Venom Page up. Do not let him control the distance. If you do, you're going to be in trouble. And use your submission arsenal. You are good on the ground. You've got a very good rear naked choke. He sets it up well. Take your time. Let the fight come to you. If you can get it to the ground, use that submission game.
His nickname used to be Hercules. We talked about that pure strength and power of Ross Houston, a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has trained extensively with the Edwards brothers, Bellator's Fabian Edwards, former Bama middleweight champion Leon Edwards, who's on an 8-fight win streak, spent some time with Darren Till in Liverpool, who has 18 wins in his career. This would be, if it happens, the biggest win for the young man living now in Inverness, Scotland, Ross the Hitman Houston.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, making his walk to the Bellator cage from England's capital city, it's MVP Michael Venom Page.
Hey, John, he has got it all. I liked this comment. He said, I've seen videos of my opponents trying to have their training partners mimic my style, and it doesn't make any sense because they don't have a clue about how to move, how to position themselves, and how to distance themselves, and how to emulate me in a sparring session.
Well, what he's talking about, Mike, and he's so right, is you'll see guys trying to mimic his movement, and that's just that karate stance, sideways, in and out. But what they don't what they cannot mimic, and what they don't get is they cannot mimic the way that he controls that range and the way he uses it to use your energy to create a speed that becomes power. That's why he has these knockouts. It's not that he's so strong or he's got that huge punch or kick. It's that he times things so well. He understands the distance, he covers that distance, and with his timing, bringing in your momentum forward, he gets massive knockouts.
You see John's keys to victory, keeping him guessing with the timing and angles, and you talk about making the confidence of Ross Houston crumble, John.
Well, what I'm talking about is when you have a guy like Ross Houston, he's a confident guy because he's never been beat. This is a guy that was, you know, Cage Warrior champion. He goes in there saying, I can beat anyone. So what you want to do if you're Michael Page is get in his head. Give him some problems. Make him all of a sudden start to second guess his true ability.
The only loss in 18 professional fights for MVP was against Douglas Lima. Arguably the best welterweight in the world right now, ready for his opportunity at the middleweight championship inside the Bellator cage. He said of that fight, he got overeager, he's experienced losses, he's been on a tear since that time, including a win back in Japan in the second round by knockout. Michael Venom Page, our tail of the tape for this.
Well, welcome back to Paris, France. Welcome back to the Accor Arena. And once again, welcome to our viewers joining us on CBS Sports Network and BBC iPlayer. This is Bellator 248, and this is the main event. 3 5-minute rounds contracted at 175 pounds. Sanctioned by the Mohegan Tribe Department of Athletic Regulation, Chairman James Gessner, Tribe Chief Lynn Malerba, President of Sports and Entertainment Tom Cantone, and Director Mr. Mike Mazzulli. At cage side are 3 judges, Jaron Valel, Doug Crosby, and Sal D'Amato. And so, ladies and gentlemen, in attendance here at cage side, and for those joining us around the world on CBS Sports Network and BBC iPlayer, the officials are ready. The fighters are ready. Are you ready for the main event? Firstly, and fighting out of the blue corner, at 6'2" and weighing in at 174.8 pounds. His professional record, he is undefeated, 8-0 with 1 no contest, 3 wins coming inside the distance. The former welterweight world champion from the capital of the Scottish Highlands, fighting out of the beautiful city of Inverness, Scotland, undefeated Ross the Hitman Houston. And standing across the Bellator cage in the red corner at 6'3" and weighing in at 174.2 pounds. His professional record, outstanding. 17 wins, only 1 defeat. 14 wins inside the distance, with 11 coming inside round number 1. Fighting out of London, England, MVP, Michael Venom Page. A referee, Mr. Todd Anderson.
Todd Anderson, the referee for this, our main event of the evening.
Gentlemen, went over the rules in the back. Protect yourself at all times, obey my commands at all times. If you wish to touch gloves, do so now. Step back, prepare.
Michael Venom Page. Ross Houston, born in Stafford, England. That's where he was born, went to school. Mom and dad are Scottish. Right now, they are two fighters looking for their next professional win. Here we go. Fight contracted at 175 pounds. MVP in the red gloves. Houston in the blue gloves.
It'll be very interesting right off the bat to see how much Ross Houston is just going to sit there and try to bring Page into his game, try to actually counter the counter striker.
Which is what he told us he is going to attempt to do, at least, John, earlier in the week when we spoke to him.
But you need to be careful because you have to present problems for your opponent. If you're not presenting a problem, things can go bad quickly.
7.5-inch reach advantage could be a problem for Ross Houston because that's what MVP possesses. That side stance, light on his feet, hands down low.
Sometimes what that side stance does with those hands is because they're low, it's hard for you to actually see that punch coming until it's a little bit too late and it hits you when you would think it would not.
And he's able to control distance and range so well, much like we talk about the veteran Lyoto Machida all the time.
I am impressed with the fact that Ross Houston right now is being very patient. He's taking his time. He's not trying to force anything because that can happen, especially your first time in the Bellator cage, coming from a different, promotion. This is your first fight here. You want to impress. You want to do well, so you make mistakes. He's being very calm, very relaxed, and that shows, that fight IQ.
Well, partner, he's staying true to his word because he said he put a lot of pressure on himself during his amateur fights, and it cost him on more than one occasion. He was too worried about what people were going to think of his performance. Just missing with that punch was MVP, and now he just fights his own fight, lets it come to him, which is what you need to do against the guy at the caliber of MVP.
Yeah, that right hand, actually, that hit Ross Houston. He felt it, and you can see that he actually stopped, took a moment to just collect himself. He's trying to measure exactly where MVP is at, how he can attack with that distance. When MVP comes in to do that attack, you're seeing that Ross Houston is trying to look for that attack and counter it.
5th Dan kickboxing black belt, Michael Venom Page, whose father, Curtis, was a 3-time kickboxing champion. Passed a few years ago on Boxing Day. And obviously, Michael misses him dearly, fights for his spirit every time he enters the cage.
You can see just with that kick that Ross Houston attempted, it was off by that distance is giving him problems, but this is exactly where I think he has a very good chance of winning this fight, bringing it to the ground, utilizing that good ground game that he has. Good shoulder pressure right now.
We talked about the strength that Ross Houston possesses, John.
Yeah, but right now, in the position that he's at, he's in what we call, he's in side control, but he's trapped. That head is trapped by Michael Venom Page. He's feeling the pressure. I'm not saying it's going to put him out or anything, but he's feeling it, and it is limiting his breathing also. Page now lets that go.
Side control for Ross Houston.
Very important timing for Ross Houston right now. This is something like trying to bring knee on belly. He needs to just maintain this control and slowly and systematically get to a position where he can do damage on Venom Page.
You hear his corner telling him to be very heavy, put the pressure on his opponent.
Well, one of the things a lot of people go when they're watching Michael Venom Page, they say, oh, you just take him to the ground. Well, we saw that Cyborg, a guy that Venom Page, who is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, he did get Venom Page to the ground and wasn't able to do anything with him there. So it's not like Michael Page has no ground game. He knows what's going on down there.
And he left on the wrong side of the 2016 World MMA Knockout of the Year. The referee was average in that fight, by the way.
He's absolutely average.
Glad he retired.
But you can tell one of the things that's occurred here is Ross Houston has had this great position, right back to half guard. He hasn't been able to do that damage, and that is what you need to do if you get this opportunity, because you want to do something that's going to slow MVP down.
Big John, we're going to see a second round.
Back it up. Gentlemen, thank you. Go back over there. Back it up. Get ready.
Main event right here on CBS Sports Network. Mike Goldberg, Big John McCarthy, MMA from Paris, France, from the country of France for the very first time. Thank you to those who helped to make it happen. Thank you to Scott Coker for his persistence in becoming #1 once again and bringing the Bellator cage to Paris.
A miracle has happened, Mike. Michael Venom Page has his hands up.
Yes.
Which means Ross Houston has gotten his attention.
You talked to me about it before, John. You said when he gets really loose and Anderson Silva-like is when he's extremely confident and doesn't feel any fear. Now his hands are in a different spot, and that is because Ross Houston made a few statements in the first 5 minutes.
Exactly, but Venom Page did land a beautiful right hand. That stunned Ross Houston a little bit. But we are seeing a difference in the style. The joking is gone, which is telling you, this is a tell that I see in Michael Page all the time. When he knows, hey, I'm in against a guy that this guy's good, he starts to get rid of all of that a little bit, and he starts to get a little more serious, and that's what you're seeing right now.
On your unofficial scorecard, who got round 1?
You know, it's going to be a tough round, because if you look at the ground part, Ross wasn't able to do anything. He did 0 damage down there. Now, it was not the most, you look at the time, it might be the judges going with Venom Page. He landed the better strikes, and that took place more. But again, I could see a judge giving it to Ross Houston based upon having him on the ground, having position, but it's more about damage, not position.
Damage first, then cage control. So a very close round 1. Red gloves for 17-1. Michael Venom Page, 13 of those wins inside the Bellator cage. Debut here in Paris for Ross Houston. 8-0-1, no contest in his professional career.
That was a well-timed entrance by Ross Houston to get inside, tried to drop levels, got inside, gets his hands locked. We'll see what he can do from here now that he's got Page up against the cage.
Big shot.
And again, this is where people don't give Michael Page credit. They think he's just this stand-up guy. That was a beautiful takedown by Michael Page. He had Ross off balance, brings him down. Now he's landing good shots. That's right to the back of the head, back of the neck. Yep. Now that is on both, because that shot is being thrown, and you see that the head is there, and as it's being thrown. So intent-wise, I don't think he intended for that to be. It's just that that's what ended up being the shot that ends up landing. So you can see as Houston's moving a little bit, he's obviously throwing, but he's trying to go to the side. But as Houston moves his body to his left, that brings that head right into place with the hammer fist by MVP.
And Todd Anderson perfectly put it, be careful to the back of the head. Just, you know, stating what you just said, Big John, is that it was the movement and bad timing, if you will, for Ross Houston for that strike from MVP.
Absolutely, and what it did is, first off, he gave Houston, oh, nice shot by Page again. Good exchange by both of them, but Page got the best of it. But it gives Houston time to recover from it, and it takes him off of the ground. Now they're back in the stand-up, so he gets that advantage back.
We got ourselves a fight.
Well, this is the fight that I expected. I felt that Michael Venom Page would, at a certain point, say, I have to respect this guy. He's good. He's strong. He's got good striking. But you're seeing the difference in the speed. There is a difference between Venom Page and Ross Houston in speed, and it's that length and speed that is giving Venom Page right now the advantage in this fight.
Nice sprawl. Ross still trying to take him down.
And again, wasn't able to, which is telling you, look, MVP is becoming that all-around fighter. He is not this guy that you can just easily take down. Sweeps the leg out. Look where he's at, Mike, riding him out. That was a beautiful statement right there, mister.
Thank you very much. That was well timed. And I liked your Page against the cage. You're a poet, you don't even know it.
Nice movement by Ross Houston, move his hips. He's into at least a half guard now.
MVP being very careful with these strikes, wisely doing just that as Houston tries to get out of this tough position.
But this is the difference, what we saw in the first round compared to what we're seeing here. Even though Venom Page isn't having the positional dominance that you saw with Ross Houston, now he's into at least side control. He is damaging Houston from these positions.
See some of the damage under the eye, the right eye of the hitman Ross Houston. Final 10 seconds of round number 2. This round will leave no doubt in the judges' minds.
There were some good moments. That was a big left hook by Michael Page there. That got Ross Houston's attention. You saw the difference in the striking here. Beautiful left, right. And then when Michael Venom Page was in positions, you saw Houston trying to get into him, take him down, and Page was able to reverse those.
Third and final round, our main event here on CBS Sports Network. Michael Venom Page in the red gloves, blue gloves for Ross Houston. Big round 2 for MVP.
And no doubt about it, you can see clearly that Michael Venom Page is going to get that round on all the judges' scorecards. So right now, he's either up 20-18 on a judges' scorecard or we have an even fight.
Starting with those hands up, John, like he did in round 2. Now they're a little bit lower.
And this is, when you're looking, I just said we have an even fight, but that's the problem with the scoring of MMA is if you did give the first round to Ross Houston, there is a big difference between that first round and the second round, because if you're saying, well, which one was better? Well, obviously Michael Page did a lot better work in the second round than if you were going to give Houston the first round that he did. And so it's even on the cards maybe, but not even in what we've seen happening inside the cage.
Because you know what I'm going to ask you now, not quite enough for a 10-8, right?
No, definitely not enough for a 10-8.
That's why every fighter will say, I do not want to leave it in the hands of somebody else. 3 other dudes making the decision
and it's so,
of my arm being raised.
But it's so hard when you're going against someone that is so good in either Ross Houston or, it's not easy to get rid of a good fighter.
Absolutely. No denying the durability of Ross Houston. or Michael Venom Page.
Yeah, there's no doubt at this moment now in the fight, Ross Houston is a little bit hesitant. When I talked about that confidence has been broken a little bit. He was in positions that he did not expect to be in against Michael Page, and that second round didn't unfold the way that he had played it out in his mind. So he needs to get that confidence back, get back to what he does well, start, just taking his time, be smart. Same way he got into him before, change levels, time that entrance and get a hold of him and put him back into your world.
And Big John, especially with MVP doing some of his damage or the majority of his damage on the ground, which is where Ross Houston, at least on paper, thought that he would have the advantage in this fight.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. When someone does something, you don't think he's going to be difficult for you in that position, and all of a sudden, it's a different world than you thought. It's a confidence killer.
MVP just sees those spins coming from, well, all the way back in the United States. And no disrespect to Ross, that's just MVP's many years of competing.
Ross Houston with the wizard there trying to bring him over. Again, Michael using good technique, has that hand inside, brings him against the cage here. And you're taking a look. Right now we have a 50-50 position. Both have an underhook, both have the over. Who's going to do something with the position? Is Page going to try to bring him down again? Because he did good work in the second round on the ground.
MVP has only gone the distance 3 times in his professional career. 3-0 in those fights. Houston has had moments where he has taken this fight, John, to where he wanted, into what he had hoped would be his world. But I'll tell you what, Michael Venom Page, his globe has grown, and you can see the all-around skill set just continuing to mature.
Yeah, well, it's obvious that, the guys that he's working out with at the London Shoot Fighters, he's making them better and they're making him better. And, he has got a ground game. You can sit there and say whatever you want. Is he a submission master? No, he's not a submission master, but man, he is proficient on the ground. Defensively, he's good, and offensively, when it comes to ground and pound, he lays down heavy strikes. Look at how hard Ross Houston is working here, trying to get this takedown. He should go to that double leg again, right with where his legs are at. He's trying. Back to the single leg. Needs to be careful of that guillotine.
Final 20 seconds of this fight.
Michael Page ends up in the top position. Ross working his way back out.
Our main event will go the distance.
We need 2 more rounds, Mike.
Yes, we do. There was some respect for Ross Houston. You could definitely see it from Michael Venom Page.
No doubt about it. You look at, what Ross Houston brings. He is a very skilled fighter. He's well-rounded. He took some big shots, never wavered from them, kept himself in there, kept trying to get Page to the position that he felt he'd have the advantage. I just don't think it was enough in this one.
Judges rendering their decision. Craig Stephen has it.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to our judges. Sal D'Amato, 29-28. Both judges, Jennifer Lell and Doug Crosby, 30-27. Winner by unanimous decision, Michael Venom Page.
MVP by unanimous decision. For those of you on CBS Sports Network, we will see you on Thursday from the Mohegan Sun Arena. Right now, it's time for college football. The Citadel at Army begins right here, right now. Those of you with us still on BBC iPlayer, we will interview the winner. Here's Gareth with MVP.
Michael Venom Page, the crowd, I think, wanted a finish from you tonight. We didn't get one.
I don't like to make excuses, but the canvas today was so slippery, I had to change my whole style. This is why after the first round, I stopped bouncing. I couldn't kick, because every time I tried to lift my leg, I was gonna slip. So it would have just defeated the whole point. So I had to go very basic. Ross is not a guy you can play with. I went to plan Z and decided to fight.
But it was a very interesting chess match, wasn't it, in the stand-up and on the ground?
Again, it only was because I couldn't move.
Michael, you fought 5 times in 2019. You've got a victory this year. Now, where do you want to go next, and who do you want to face?
Everyone knows the answer to that. I only want one person. One person's giving me my defeat. Wherever you go, middleweight, I'll find you. Light heavyweight, I'll find you. Heavyweight, I'll find you. That's the rematch I want.
You're talking Douglas Lima, of course, who fights Gegard Mousasi in 2 weeks' time. So you'll be watching for the winner of that. You may even fight Lima or at middleweight if he holds the middleweight belt.
If he it's anywhere he wants to. Some people are talking like he's not going to come back down to welterweight. If he doesn't, then that means I have to move up. But that's the fight I want. Does it irk you? Do you think about him every day then? Sorry? Do you think about him every day? Do you think about that defeat? You have to get revenge? No. I've got a lot more to my life than just MMA. But when it comes to MMA, that's the one fight that I do want. That's the one fight I do think about. Your fights are always fantastic and fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Page, congratulations.
MVP, the winner in our first of 2 main events. Congratulations, he moves to 14-1 inside the Bellator cage. And our fight action continues right here, right now, on the Bellator YouTube channel and BBC iPlayer in the UK. And don't forget, later, not to be missed, Czech Congo headlines our history-making first ever major MMA sanctioned event in France as he fights Tim Johnson. Again, that comes your way. 5 in the East, 2 in the West on Bellator's YouTube channel. We continue our fights right here, right now on the BBC iPlayer, and we have got some great ones coming up next. The Eiffel Tower. It is nighttime in Paris, and they are just wheeling around the Arc de Triomphe, the Louvre. It is a spectacular city. It is a great day, a great night, a great date for the sport of MMA inside the Accor Arena as we continue here on the Bellator YouTube channel